Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Revolution from Orlando, Florida. To open the show, we had the buy-in, which started with a singles match between Kris Statlander and Layla Hirsch. This match has been building slowly for a while now, and it started when Statlander and Layla were supposed to team, but there was some miscommunication, and it's now boiled over into outright hatred. They look set to hurt one another, and they start getting in some really hard shots and just brawling until we finally get to the point when Layla grabs extra ring hook, the piece that hooks the ropes to the ring, and smashes Kris in the head with it, and then hits a moonsault press for the win. Layla Hirsch defeats Kris Statlander. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 2.5 out of 5 because, it was a good match, don't get me wrong. It definitely felt like the first match on a buy-in for a pay-per-view. It didn't feel like it was the most important thing, but it also didn't feel like it wasn't important at all. That's why for my WTR scale, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 because they did build this quite well. It had a lot of time on TV, had a lot of time just in general everywhere. It was very good. The next match I gave, the next match on the card is a singles match between Hook and QT Marshall. QT hates Hook and just wants to stop his impressive run as of late. And I said in my prediction video that he's going to have something or someone up his sleeve if he's actually going to beat him. They go back and forth for a while, and QT does not have someone up his sleeve. He tries the float over. Hook just sees it and locks in the red rum for the win. Hook defeats QT Marshall, and for my Malteser scale, I gave this a 2 out of 5. It was just kind of a quick match. We pretty much expected that of Hook. Like, that was pretty much where we thought he was going to be. For my WTR scale, I gave it a 2.75. They did build it pretty well, so I didn't hate the fact that this wasn't just out of nowhere. For the next match on the card, I gave it... Jesus, I keep doing that. I'm sorry. The Trios Tag Team Match. The House of Black versus Pac, Penta, Oscuro, and Eric Redbeard. The House of Black updated their entrance once again, now having Matthews on their team, and it is the coolest wrestling entrance I have ever seen. And this match has one purpose and one purpose only. That is to pull in any and all of the last-minute holdouts that have yet to buy the pay-per-view. They will surely do so after this match. Penta, Pac, and Redbeard plan to get revenge on the House of Black, but I feel there's no stopping them tonight or any night. This is a hard-hitting match that shows off every man in the match very well, and after a lot of back and forth and just carnage on the outside, finally, the House of Black targets Eric Redbeard and hits the Black Mist plus a pile driver and gets the win. The House of Black defeats Penta, Oscuro, Pac, and Eric Redbeard. From my Malteser scale, I gave this a 3.75 out of 5. It was definitely the best match on the buy-in, and it was supposed to be, and they just crushed it. For the WTR scale, I gave it a 4 out of 5. The story for this has just been perfect. They built it amazingly, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing where this goes. Like I've thought, I think Penta is going to turn on his teammates at some point here soon, but I don't know. And we finally get the Revolution card. The first match on the card is Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. These two have a genuine hatred for each other. Jericho wants to destroy Kingston for trying to break up the Inner Circle. And Jericho and Kingston have just been at war, and they are going to continue it tonight. They go back and forth for a long time, and it looks like both men have won many times. But they can't, sorry. Kingston's head is swollen, Jericho's chest is practically bleeding, and then when it seems like Kingston's going to fall to the Judas effect, Kingston ducks it, and hits two big spinning back fists and locks in the stretch plum for the win. Eddie Kingston defeats Chris Jericho. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 4.25 out of 5. It killed it for the first match on the card. It was amazing. For the WTR scale, I gave this a 4 out of 5. It was perfectly built. They did amazing, and that actually felt great. After the match, Kingston extends his hand and says he respects Jericho, but Jericho goes to shake his hand and can't and just leaves. Kingston looked pissed. We then get the AEW World Tag Team Championship 3-way match. Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks, and Red Dragon. The Bucks and Red Dragon have been not really seeing eye to eye lately, and I have a feeling this is what's going to cost them tonight. Jurassic Express have been on a tear since picking up the titles, and I can't see them falling tonight because they I mean, if Red Dragon and Bucks start arguing, it's practically handed to them. Uh, this match picks up from the word go, and almost instantly what I thought would happen. After Jungle Boy's worn down a bit, the Bucks and Dragon just can't figure out who they want to win from the Elite. It seems like they had it planned out, but they just forgot. And this allows Jurassic Express to come back and seem to take control for a moment, but the Elite do take over again because it's 4-on-2 effectively. Uh, but not for long, as Jurassic Express do take a huge beating, but they will not die. And that, along with the arguments from the Elite, Jurassic Express stop more bang for your buck. And Jungle Boy then he hits a pile driver into a Canadian destroyer or something like that out of the corner. It was an incredible set of moves. And he and Luchasaurus then hit Thoracic Express for the win. Jurassic Express defeats the Young Bucks and Red Dragon to retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 4.25 out of 5. And for the WTR scale, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. They did perfectly in the match, and they built the story for this beautifully, and it really was clear that Red Dragon and the Young Bucks were going to cost themselves this match. The Face of the Revolution ladder match is next Keith Lee versus Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks versus Orange Cassidy versus Christian Cage. And this match is insane from start to finish. They waste no time getting the ladders out, and the big men take to the ring as the smaller guys go out and brawl. Multiple times, Orange uses the big guys to try and steal the win, but it doesn't work as they stop him and just toss him around. There are spots that I've never seen before, including a ladder to hit a suplex from the corner where Hobbs suplexed, I believe it was Cassidy, and the ladder was propped up in the corner, and they used that. It was really interesting. Wardlow then sends Lee and Hobbs through the tables on the ramp and turns his attention to the ring, where he clears out and then stops Starks from winning by hitting a powerbomb onto a suspended ladder, which was held up by the other ladder. And climbs up the ladder for the win. Wardlow wins the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and he now has a TNT title shot. I believe they said it was going to be at St. Patrick's Day Slam. For my Malteser scale, I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was a very good match, and I loved this style ladder match with the big men and all the small men. It was great. For the WTR scale, I gave it a 3.75 out of 5 because I thought there was going to be a seventh guy. It just felt like that's what they were hinting at, but it never happened. After the match, Tony Schiavone is on the stage, and he announces that AEW has signed Shane Swerve Strickland, and he comes out and says that this is his house now. We then get our TBS Championship match, Jade Cargill defending against Ty Conti. And this match looks to be Jade's biggest challenge yet, and I feel that it'll be too much for her to handle. Ty will win the TBS title tonight, I think. They start out strong, going back and forth, and they eventually take out each other's managers to even the score. And then just when it looks like Ty's about to win, Jade stops her dead in her tracks on the ropes, and Ty headbutts the camera in the corner, and she picks her up and hits Jaded for the win. Jade Cargill defeats Ty Conti to retain the TBS Championship. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. It was a fairly decent match. I didn't hate anything about it. For the WTR scale, I gave it a 3 out of 5 because it did kind of like come out of nowhere. Not really. I mean, they did build it a little bit, but it just didn't feel as much story as some of the other matches on this card. Speaking of story matches, we get the dog collar match next. CM Punk versus MJF. MJF comes out by hitting CM Punk's music first, but then he gets his own coming out, and everybody really just hates that. CM Punk, though, doesn't care because tonight he's not using his cult of personality. He's coming out to his old school music from Ring of Honor, and he's also wearing his old school gear from Ring of Honor. He looks pissed off and ready to take out MJF once and for all. If you have not watched this match, you need to. It takes no time for Punk to be bleeding, probably from the cut from Wednesday. And not too long after that, so too is MJF. They use the chain and anything else they can find to hurt each other. And, of course, they get thumbtacks out. After all of that, MJF still can't get it done, so he calls out Wardlow, asks for the ring, and it seems like Wardlow's forgotten it. He feels his pockets, he doesn't have it. So MJF gets pulled back by the chain, and Punk then hits the GTS onto the tacks, and then Wardlow, he finds the ring and he just sets it on the apron and walks out. Punk picks it up and smashes MJF in the face with it for the win. CM Punk defeats MJF, and from my teaser scale, I gave this a 5 out of 5. They could not have done this any better. For the WTR scale, I gave it a 5 out of 5. Again, they couldn't have done this any better. Then we get the AEW Women's World Championship match. Dr. Britt Baker defending against Thunder Rosa. This feud has built from the lights out match and Britt's inability to win over Rosa and when she needs to. Rosa looks like she will take the title tonight as she will pick up where she left off on Wednesday. Britt has a new championship tonight and it looks amazing. Oh my god, AEW, they nailed it. They instantly pick up the pace in the match and they start smashing each other quickly. The thing is, Britt has her girls there. They help her once again, and they just help her a little too much. They use the title to smash Rosa at one point, and then they keep distracting the ref, so Rosa has to take them out, and this allows Britt to hit another curb stomp for the win. Britt Baker defeats Thunder Rosa to retain the AEW Women's World Championship. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5, just kind of getting a little sour on the Britt always getting help. Similar to how, it seems like the Bucks and Cole kind of always go for the low blow. It just is kind of getting stale now. For the WTR scale, I gave it a 4 out of 5 because they really did build this well, and I did love this whole thing entirely. We then get the singles match between Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. These two do exactly what they say they're going to do. They go out there and just beat the crap out of each other. They start out slow with some chain wrestling, but it doesn't last long as it quickly becomes a fight. It doesn't take long for either men to be bloodied as they just are just like they said they would do. This is truly an amazing match of a great combination of all-out brawl and a technical masterpiece. And the finish is just that. When Bryan looks like he's won it with a triangle choke, Moxley, he fights out, he flips Bryan over and pins Bryan for the win, which Bryan was pissed off about that. Jon Moxley defeats Bryan Danielson, and for my Malteser scale, I gave this a 4.75 out of 5. It was a great match. It was near perfect. For the WTR scale, I gave it a 5 out of 5. The story for this match has been amazing. After the match, Bryan gets pissed off and just yells at the ref and then Moxley, and then they start to brawl again, and they can't be separated by the security, so out comes William Regal. He separates the two men. Of course, he is their mentor from way back when they were training. He makes them shake hands after slapping them both in the face. And will he maybe be the manager for their eventual tag team? Man, this is insane. We then get the Tornadoes Trios tag team match. The AHFO versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. This match is typically supposed to be called the cool down match in pay-per-view terms, but it is anything but that. They waste no time breaking off into battles and spilling outside to the fans where all hell breaks loose. While all that's going on in the fans, we get Sammy and Cassidy on the ramp as two tables are set up, and it looked like Cassidy was going to jump through them. Sammy stopped this, and he gets up and goes for the Spanish fly. He hits it, they go through the tables. It was insane. And just when you thought the tables are done, no, there are 4 tables stacked in the fans, and Sting, after brawling with Matt Hardy in the fans, he gets the bright idea. He sees Andrade laying on top of 4 tables, and he jumps from the top staircase area where the fans are into the tables and takes out Andrade. Darby then heads into the ring with Matt, and they brawl for a little bit. Darby sends Matt through a chair. They broke a chair more than I've ever seen a broken chair in my life. And then he hits the coffin drop to end it off. And Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara defeat the AHFO. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 4 out of 5. They did amazing in this match. And for the WTR scale, I also gave it a 4 out of 5 because the story build for this has just been fairly decent. I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere. We just added Sammy into this kind of out of nowhere, but it did make sense. So it worked really well for me. We then get our main event, the AEW World Championship match. Hangman Adam Page defending against Adam Cole, baby. And this has been the feud for AEW over the last few months. These two have a score to settle, with this being a rubber match, with them splitting their Ring of Honor matches 1-1. This is an insane match, as both men are able to dominate for portions, and when Red Dragon comes out, it seems like it may just be another one of Cole's wins, where he cheats and wins. Cole almost looks like that's what's going to happen when the Dark Order comes out to even the score. This allows Page to hit the buckshot, but Cole gets to the ropes by just a finger. And then Page ties Cole up with his belt and just super kicks him so many times, and he goes for one big boot and just walks into a super kick from Cole. Cole unties himself and turns into a boot from Hangman. This allows Hangman to lower the boom and hit the buckshot for the win. Hangman Adam Page defeats Adam Cole to retain the AEW World Championship. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. It was a fantastic match. The only thing that I think would have made it better if it was just a pure one-on-one contest, but it still was practically perfect. For the WTR scale, I gave this a 5 out of 5. They built this match so well, and I loved every second of it. After the match, Hangman shakes Adam Cole's limp hand, and that's where we end it. The show goes off the air, and yeah, for my overall, I gave it a 5 out of 5. They could not have done any better for this show. I mean, I've been saying that for the last few pay-per-views from them. This has been my favorite wrestling show ever. I mean, they've just blown anything out of the water. My segment of the night goes to Swerve signing his contract. That was perfect. There were rumors that he might have been the 7th guy in this ladder match, but it didn't happen, so it's fine. That signing was really cool. Match of the night goes to the dog collar match. Oh my god, that was brutal. Please check it out if you have not. And the performers of the night, I couldn't narrow it down to a single set of people or one person. I'm giving it to the entire card. They did amazing top to bottom. I have no complaints from anything here. That was a great show, and yeah, just fantastic. But that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.